To change your life, you've got to remove the things that destroy you, right? It's not as sexy as the next hack, the next medication, the next injection, the next thing you can do. But this is how you create real change. Removing these things, these bad habits, these things that destroy you will set you free. Bad habits always overcome the hack.
Welcome to the Dr. Ashley Show.
Family is so hard, isn't it? I struggle with family often, and they're hard conversations to navigate through. I find also that whatever you have expertise in is where your family members struggle. I grew up with a lot of chiropractors in my family, and I always struggled with my back. And I know what you might be thinking. It was the chiropractic care that caused the damage to my back, because there are a lot of charlatans in the field. But that wasn't the case for me. I was actually born with a fusion of my L5, low spine, L5 and S1 were fused together. And I was a professional ballet dancer, and with all the training and the impact on my back, and I didn't eat well, I didn't treat my body well. Oh my gosh, I had a lot of pain in my low back, and I actually got a stress fracture in it. And I didn't take care of the stress fracture either, because I just wouldn't stop dancing. And so I struggled with my back all the time. And a lot of my relatives who were also chiropractors had biologically bad backs as well. And it's just funny how that works. And now that I'm in the field of weight loss and nutrition, and I've helped thousands of people drop weight and keep it off successfully, wouldn't you know that I've got specific family members who also struggle with their weight, and they won't take advice from me. And it kills me. It makes me so frustrated, because I just see what we do at PhD, and it's so simple. We basically remove the bad habits that people have ingrained in them, and it's very simple. We remove those bad habits and we replace them with the good habits. And we don't do any kind of medications or shots or drops or injections. It's nothing fancy. It's just real food and real lifestyle change, step by step, making it simple. And people drop weight, 80 pounds, 100 pounds, 100 pounds plus. They drop it and they keep it off. I have this one family member in particular who has struggled with his weight for a long time, for over 70 years. And he is a surgeon, a physician, so he knows what he's talking about, specifically regarding the heart, as that was his specialty. But still, he will not make any lifestyle changes. And he tries one new thing, one new fad, one quick fix after another, and it drives me crazy. He's tried all of the different medications. He's tried all of the quick diets and the cleanses and the fast drinks, the OptiFast. He's tried all of the new injections now on semaglutide, also called Wegovy, and he feels terrible with it. Sure, he's dropped 20 pounds, but he's got about 100 plus more to go. So that 15% weight loss that they say, he's able to achieve that, but he's still got a significant amount of weight on him that's holding him back. He's got high blood pressure, kidney disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, but he's on medication, so he no longer has diabetes, but he would have it if he didn't take the medication. He has no prostate. He's just struggling with his health. He can barely walk. He loves to scuba dive. He loves to kayak. He loves to hike, but he can't even, sit in an airplane comfortably. I see him wasting his life not doing the things that he wants to with this physical body. And when I see he could do it very simply, if he would just take some lifestyle steps, if he would remove those bad habits. Instead, it's just, what hack can he add? What new thing can he do to try to overcome his bad habits? So what I want to talk to you about today is how you can achieve success through subtraction. So one of my coaches, his name is Craig Ballantyne, and I love him, and he says, you can see success through subtraction. To change your life, you've got to remove the things that destroy you. Right? It's not as sexy as the next hack, the next medication, the next injection, the next thing you can do. But this is how you create real change. Removing these things, these bad habits, these things that destroy you will set you free. Bad habits always overcome the hack. If you think about the family member I just talked about, if he would just make these lifestyle changes, it would overcome all of the different tools, all of the different hacks, all of the different medications he's taking. It'd be a totally different, better life experience. My husband, he's a physician, and he has a client on semaglutide. If you're not familiar with this drug that's very popular right now, it basically is a diabetes drug, but it helps with weight loss by making you just not hungry anymore. A lot of people feel actually nauseous, low energy. The family member I mentioned, he feels terrible. His wife says that he's such a grouch, but he just keeps taking it. He's not hungry, but he still eats a meal before he goes to bed because it's his habit and he doesn't want to change his habit. So it's just kind of wild to me. But this client that I'm talking about, she takes semaglutide and makes her feel really nauseous and not hungry, which is what it does. That's why people drop weight on it, because they don't want to eat. But anyway, she'll take it and then she won't take it for a few weeks because she wants to binge. So if you think about it, if she could get the support, the therapy, the help she needs to stop the binging, then she wouldn't need the Ozempic or the drug, and she would create the big change that she wants, which is to drop some weight, and she hasn't dropped any weight. So it's really, again, about removing the bad habits that don't serve you. So it's success through subtraction. So here's what you want to do. Number one is you want to become aware and remove that bad habit. Subtract what doesn't serve you, but the first step is to become aware. So you want to ask yourself, what is your bad habit? Maybe come up with the top 3. Then what you want to do is to build systems to avoid that bad habit. Think more prepping, more planning. So for example, my husband wouldn't mind if I shared this, but he has the propensity to want to eat more than his body needs. He could binge if he let himself go for it. A binger, it's just how I'm wired. And so for him, he knows that he has to prep and plan. He's got a meal plan. He preps on Sunday. He makes sure he has the food. So when he goes upstairs, he works from home. When he goes upstairs, he knows exactly what to eat and it's there for him. If he didn't, he would just eat whatever's there, not be aware, and eat more than his body needs. For me, mine is sleep. I would love to go to sleep late at night. I mean, it's just like my time to shine. I don't really shine. I just do things that are relaxing to me. And I'd like to go to bed around 11:15, maybe a little bit later would be a sweet spot. So I have a reverse alarm. And the reverse alarm goes off at 9 o'clock, which feels so early to me, but it tells me I've got to start, Ashley, getting ready to go to bed if I want to be able to wake up, feel good, be there for my kids, be there for my team, be there for the thousands of clients I serve to have a better life. So I'm disciplined with that. So what you want to make sure you do is you build systems to avoid that bad habit that you know you need to let go of if you want to succeed in creating change in your life. You can look at this from a dietary approach. And this is what we do, I find, is successful at PhD, is we figure out what the trigger foods are for you and we remove those. So I know this is controversial and a lot of people think every food fits. I hear that often. It kind of makes me angry inside, or you just need to eat everything in moderation. But for a lot of people, weight loss and food is an addiction recovery process. And that is like telling someone who's an alcoholic that they should just drink 1 glass of wine or will have 1 alcoholic drink. They just can't do it. It's not their fault. It's just the way their brain and their body is wired. And the same thing goes with foods. So there might be some foods that quote unquote destroy you. Now, I'm exaggerating here, but the concept is the same. Sometimes it's easier to just remove that food where you just say no to it. You don't have to say, well, I think I'll just have 1 bite. Shoot, I had 1 bite and now I can't stop. I think I'll just have 3 more. Oh my gosh, I ate the whole bag. I'm such a failure. And then you're full of shame and unworthiness, the negative cascade, and then you move on to the next food. So I want you to consider removing the food that doesn't serve you anymore and not looking at that as restriction, not looking at it as deprivation, but looking at that as a form of self-respect. Remember that eating unhealthy is not a reward. Focus on what you want for your life, the positives, the energy, the relationship, the vitality, the good brain health, and then eat to provide that to yourself. So I want you to think that eating unhealthy is actually the form of deprivation because you're depriving yourself of all the things you actually want in your life. You actually don't want that entire bag of chips. So consider that it's not about eating everything in moderation. Consider that maybe for you, every food doesn't fit, and that's okay. Maybe you'll find freedom in that thought. 4th thing is that I want you to avoid the path of least resistance. It's when you take the path of least resistance that you actually have anxiety. Not hitting your standards is actually what keeps you up at night. Confidence comes from doing the hard things. The magic and the beauty of life comes from the challenges. The magic and beauty comes from the failure and getting up from that failure. So there's this PhD nutritionist out there, Lane Norton, and while I disagree most wildly and often with his concepts on weight loss and nutrition in general, I was listening to a podcast that he did with Andrew Huberman, and he said this. He said, when you do hard things in the short term, your life will be easy. If you do what's easy in the short term, your life will be hard. So brilliant, isn't it? And it's so true. And this is what I'm talking about when I tell you that you need to avoid taking the path of least resistance. If I talk to you about that story of my family member, I would say that he's taking the path of least resistance because he doesn't want to truly create and do the hard work that it takes to create real life transformation. So don't quit on yourself. Don't take the path of least resistance. And lastly, what I want you to remember is that little hinges swing big doors. The little things that you do in life make the most massive impact. So I urge you to subtract one small bad habit and notice the huge door of opportunity and positive change that swings in your direction. All right, well, I hope that you got some great value from this episode. If you did and you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and write a comment, provide some feedback. Tell me how you've done hard things in your past and how it related to positive outcomes. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform like Spotify, please subscribe and leave a review. And remember that you've got to step up and make the change. Lead with your heart, train your mind, and do not negotiate with your body. See you next time.